So let me know when we're live. Are you going to watch the comments?
Yeah, I will.
Okay, perfect. It's not quite across yet.
Actually, you know what? I think I should probably watch the comments on my phone, I think.
Yeah, sure.
Because I think that there's a delay. Oh God, what did I do with the computer?
I can still see you.
I made it. Oh, there we go.
I think this is going to be a funny one. All right. We are live.
Okay. I don't know what I did here. There. Okay. I can see you. I'm just going to get on that.
Oh, my lighting's really bad. Oh, well. Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. Hope you guys are all doing well. So today we're going to be talking about crazy PMS because I think there's a few of us that have been going a little cray-cray lately. So we wanted to dive into like why that's happening and how we can help ourselves through this, because I think everybody who has a spouse can attest that this is going a little too far these days. And even if you don't have a spouse, you're probably still acting like a crazy person. So hopefully that's, can you see me? Yeah. So I wanted to start out by saying good morning, and anybody that's watching live, of course, jump in and say hello. Candace is going to watch the comments, and then if you're watching on the replay, please type in #replay and say hello. We're going to be talking today about Candace's perfect storm last night.
It was like a couple weeks ago.
It was like the perfect, like that was the inspiration for this event.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was talking to a girlfriend, and then a couple other girlfriends mentioned it, and you were like, "Oh, you should have seen me last month." So,
Yeah.
I want you to tell us about your perfect storm of exactly what happened last month on your period, and then we will talk about a few things from there. So, go, take it away.
So I don't track my period, which I need to start doing, but I like knew it was like maybe coming up, and I was assuming that because I was feeling so crappy. Like I don't really crave sugar, and I was craving so much sugar, and I was so tired. I was like, okay, I must be getting my period soon. And then so like the week before, like I remember feeling kind of like getting PMS on the Wednesday, and I didn't get my period till the following Tuesday. And so I was like eating like crap the week before. I was craving sugar and just giving into it. I went through the drive-through a couple times after work. Like I just like wanted all this bad garbage food, and I was just justifying it because I was like, I'm PMSing. It's like I'm just gonna feed this craving.
Yeah.
And then I got my beard on the Tuesday, and then I started feeling like really crappy. Like it must have been Wednesday, Thursday, maybe not even Wednesday, but yeah, maybe it was. I would just like, I felt so uncomfortable in my own skin. Like I just like felt yucky. Like that's the only way to describe it. And I don't usually feel like that. Like even one time I was telling one of my girlfriends, like at the gym, I had to leave because I like couldn't even look at my reflection. It's like, how psycho is that? I mean, I don't know. Like you're at the gym working out. Like what? You look the same. It's not like you look completely different in 5 days. But I felt so gross. And then I wasn't really sleeping properly. I was like staying up late, eating late at night. And then my probiotics had ran out right before that. And I didn't even think about that until after, like once I started feeling normal again, my period was ending. I'm like, okay, what can I do to not go through that again? And the week leading up, I barely exercised. Like I tried to go to the gym while I was feeling crappy, thinking it would make me feel better. Yeah. But it's like I just did everything wrong. And like once it was done, I look back, I'm like, okay, I did everything I don't normally do. And I like wasn't setting my body up to like go through this, like not trauma, but it's like it goes through all this like hormonal changes. Yeah. It was like I did everything wrong. I look back, I'm like, probiotics ran out. So like my gut was all screwed up. I ate a bunch of sugar and crap I never eat. So even on a good day, my body would be like, what? Like I was eating a ton of gluten. And then mad that I looked tired and I felt tired. Like, what? You did all those things. Like you knew what you were not supposed to do and you did it. And then like the sleep thing, like I was quite tired. And I just remember being really irrational, like little things. Like looking back now, it's funny. I was in the parkade going to work and I couldn't find a spot. So I had to go on the 6th floor and I was like screaming in the car and like the steering wheel. And in that moment, I'm like, this is the worst thing that's happened to me today. What? Yeah. Normally I'd be like, sweet, I get some extra steps in. But that day I was just like, it was the end of the world. And now looking back, I am laughing at it because I don't usually handle things like that.
Yeah.
And just like talking to people, and Maya, who actually did the reset with us, she even said at work, she said my body language was different. Like it was not myself. I was not myself. And it was like, then I was beating myself up for not feeling like myself. And I went from feeling so good all of October. And then the last week, it was like,
crashed.
Then I crashed. It's like, what's happening to me?
So let's dive into it a little bit. So I think that one of the reasons why a lot of us are feeling our periods so strongly right now is like, yeah, we'll talk about like steps we can take and how we can deal with it better. But like at the end of the day, the reason why it's heightened right now is because we're all in such a huge stress state, just because of the noise and pressure that's happening in the world. We can't escape it no matter what we do. Like you can have moments to get away from it, but as soon as you drive out, you go out and you drive around, or you go to work, or you go to the grocery store or whatever, like you're seeing coronavirus reminders, or like election in the US reminders, or whatever, all these things that are creating uncertainty, questioning yourself, reminding you that there's so much divide in the world between all these things. Like there are people on polar opposites, and most of us feel caught somewhere in the middle on most of the issues. So whether it's like coronavirus and staying home on lockdown, or whether it's like Trump might get in again, like it's like I think a lot of us just feel super stuck in the middle of all this like war zone that's happening thought wise in social media and in the world with opinions and stuff like that. So we can't forget that that type of pressure actually like makes your hormones, when they surge, it makes it like a roller coaster. So it's like naturally happening to us. It's not like we're making it up in our heads. Plus winter's coming, so that always adds a little bit of doom and gloom. But yeah, like at the end of the day, I think what we want to talk about today is just like a few different things that we can be doing to kind of curb that, so that we're not turning into irrational psychos once a month. And then
punching your steering wheel.
Yeah, like punching your steering wheel, or like for me, it's like I have zero patience with my kids, and I'll be like yelling, or like, I don't know, like Reese will be like having a conversation with me, and I actually like my brain is just like, I actually have no recollection of a conversation that we've had, and he's just so frustrated with me, and I'm just like, you can't just expect me to do all these things. Like I just lose my shit. So
that's what I notice is like the way I handle things. Like things are just too much to handle, and I'm not normally like that. Like okay, I'll deal with it.
And like positive thinking doesn't pull you out of that tailspin. You got to take different steps. So the ones we came up with, you and I, we're going to first of all acknowledge that this is stress that's making it worse, and that it is real and it's happening. It's not made up in our heads, and that we're not crazy. We're just going a little crazy, So acknowledge,
give yourself some grace.
Yeah, acknowledging the fact that it is real. Give ourselves a heads up. Like you said, you haven't been tracking it. Neither have I. I only tracked my period whether I was trying to get pregnant or trying not to get pregnant. And so I like have no idea. And it's almost like it takes me by surprise every time. I'm just like, is this happening again? I feel like it ended. Like, anyway.
I think we should definitely track it, because then leading up to it, like if you start to feel like that, be like, okay, I'm going to be mindful of sleep. I'm going to be mindful of my diet. I'm going to take my vitamin, like prepping yourself to get in. Because when I was younger, my periods like didn't even really phase me, or I maybe just didn't notice, but now I really notice it.
Or maybe we were just psychos all the time when we were younger.
Maybe that was every day. Maybe that was every day and we didn't care. We just drank every day to get through it.
Yeah, exactly. Now we're drinking coffee. No, we're not that responsible. I drank wine last night.
It's allowed.
Okay, so number 1, acknowledge it's bad. Number 2, give yourself a heads up. So fire it into your calendar approximately, 3-4 days before you're going to hit your PMS moments, just so that you can really start to mindfully take care of yourself. Number 3, prep yourself in terms of proactive steps. So that's like, we're going to focus on a little bit better eating. We're going to focus on like really watching how much sugar you're craving and consuming. We're going to focus on, we had like alternative snacks that we can start doing. Like we have a bunch of different things. Take your vitamins, take your probiotics, make sure you're getting water, make sure you're surrounding yourself with people that are actually making you happy, because the more stress you pile on at that time of the month, the more it's going to make you nuts. And number 4, recognize when it actually is here, instead of just being like, oh, what just happened yesterday? I was such a bitch. And then 5, it's like, how do we actually deal with it? So we have some, obviously giving yourself some grace, just like giving yourself a little bit of understanding that this is actually a legitimate thing and not just some crazy thing that guys think we're nuts about. We have some essential oils that we're going to recommend just for symptoms and stuff like that to help cramps, bloating, back pain, moods, all that kind of stuff. Foods that we can deal with, you said you got some alternative snacks that you're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Taking a bath or some self-care if you can. Like that's all just part of like trying to take care of yourself. So we always talk about self-care, but most of us don't do it. And so it's like, even if you just booked it into your calendar, if that's what you need to sit and read a book, or you need to go for a walk by yourself to clear your head, or you need to take a bath or whatever that is. Like, so I thought we would just like dive into those 5 things. 2 of them are obviously a little more loaded than the others, but honestly, like we start craving crap, we eat junk, which screws with serotonin. Do you want to talk about that first?
Yeah, like my main thing that I noticed from this is I really needed to look after my gut health, because the connection between your gut and your brain, like during that, and the hormones and everything, like really be like look after your gut. And yeah, I was reading some things, and this 90% of your serotonin is produced in your gut, and that's the happy hormone. That's to make you, produces feelings, promotes feelings of like wellness and happiness. So you want to stimulate healthy bacteria growth so that so it doesn't screw with the serotonin, and probiotics will help with that. And then other alternatives that I was reading about that are cool, this is cool, is obviously in moderation. Red wine, dark chocolate, and olive oil improve your microbiome and stimulate healthy bacteria growth.
Yeah.
It's like, that's great. So when you do have the craving for sweets, have a little bit of dark chocolate, have a glass of red wine, you know, and like go to bed at a decent time. But yeah, you really need to look after your gut so that there's enough serotonin being produced in your gut, and that it has that connection with the brain to make you feel good. Because once, like with the gluten, like I must have just had so much yeast going on, all the gluten and the sugar, and it was just like what you talked about that one coffee chat where it was just like making this concoction in my gut. Like it was so distressed the whole time, and then it was like screwing with my
It's
hormones,
almost like
brain.
the kids' little like experiments where they add the stuff like the baking soda and vinegar and stuff, and then it erupts like a volcano. It's like if you're adding gluten, dairy, soy, corn, and refined sugar, you're literally scraping the crap out of the inside of your whole digestive tract, which is creating inflammation, which is like basically sending your whole body into stress response. And so it's really hard, especially if you're feeding yourself crap and not whole foods, for that good bacteria to stay on top of the bad stuff, because the bad can feed off of the sugar so much better, and so can the candida yeast, which we all have in our bodies. Like it is what it is. But then we get close to our periods, we start craving drive-through, like
easy stuff,
pub food, right? And then sugar or desserts and things that we normally wouldn't even eat, and then it throws our guts off as well. Like it doesn't seem like it would be a big deal, because if you just did a little bit, it wouldn't. But like if you do a solid 2 or 3 days of eating like crap, you have no energy, you feel like slow in the brain, your moods are awful, and then you add a surge in hormones because it's that time of the month and it's the perfect storm, like you said, right?
And you're already bloated. That stuff's gonna make you more bloated. And it was just like I felt yucky.
Sometimes there's like a part of us that wants to just be like, you know what, I have my period and I'm just gonna freaking take a day off. Like
and that's fine.
That's out of my life. That's normal. But like we still have to function normally in society. And like a lot of us in this group have kids too. And like you don't get a day off from that stuff. And like it's not their fault that you're acting crazy, but yet there you are yelling at everybody to get out the door. Put your socks on. Like it's so crazy. So acknowledging it's bad was the number one. Give ourselves a heads up, which is fire it in your phone, just like a heads up, like Aunt Flo's showing up next week, heads up, just to take a little care of ourselves. In terms of prep, it's like the biggest things we can do is sleep, water, probiotics, and vitamins. If you guys aren't on the LLV yet, the Lifelong Vitality Pack, you've got to try it. If you want to try it for like 5 days before you buy it, that's totally fair. We can send you a free sample of it. So hit us up for that. But like, we literally have testimonials from people all over the world. It is actually doTERRA's #1 selling product. It is the most sold product of all of doTERRA, not an essential oil. It's literally the vitamin pack. And so we have testimonials from all over the world of people who have literally turned their entire health around by obviously eating better, taking vitamins, taking probiotics, drinking water. I mean, this stuff is not rocket science, but we're ignoring it. And when we do that, we feel like crap. And that's just how it works. So we really need to start focusing on proactive steps to help yourself get ready for that hormone surge. Obviously that we should be eating like that all the time, but like at a bare minimum, take your vitamins every single day. And then recognizing when it does show up so that you're like, you know what, I might be a little off today. So maybe I need to grab some like oils just to have on hand, like Balance or Wild Orange. You just smell them straight out of the bottle, like 3 deep breaths in your nose makes 1,000% difference in your mood. Like
Balance and frankincense is what I used to like feel less stressed when I was.
And you're not even using up the frankincense. It's $85 a bottle. You're just smelling it.
Yeah. So awesome. I took it internally too.
Oh, nice.
I put it in a gel cap one day right before work because I was not feeling good.
Yeah, that's smart. So frankincense is like one of the universal best oils out there for stress, for inflammation, for, you know, recovery, for cellular level recovery, for brain stuff, for, I mean, even like head injuries when you're recovering from a trauma, frankincense is like one of the best things to put on to help you recover. So why would we think it's any different with hormones? You know what I mean? So it really helps you get out of stress response, which will affect your hormones and level them out a bit. Lots of oils do that. It doesn't have to be the frankincense, but frankincense is like one of our faves, obviously. Okay, but let's talk about what oils we can use. So we just touched on emotional. So any oil that works for you is the best oil for you. So some people love lemon. Some people love lavender. Some people love, like, I love Balance. I love orange, like Wild Orange. It's so good. And Wild Orange is $13 a bottle. It's not $1 million. So it's like one of the best ones to have, and just use it as much as you want because you just buy lots more. And like just something like peppermint, mixing it with peppermint, like Wild Orange and peppermint, such a great diffuser blend to set you up in the morning properly, just calms you down and like gives you energy in a good way. Adaptive obviously is so good for anybody who's feeling anxious. I mean,
I had that in a roller. I use that a lot.
It's such a good oil for so many people. But again, it's like some oils work great for some people and others, maybe you don't like the smell of it, and that's okay. Like you just go until you find the ones that work the best for you and your body. But in terms of like cramps, I get monster cramps after my third kid.
I do now.
I never used to when I was young, but I like almost go in fetal position sometimes.
Really?
And that's like, I'm such a wimp. Like, this, suck it up, Mira. You know what I mean? But it's like, it kills me and my back is aching and it's brutal. But clary sage, I literally just take it, the bottle, and I just like go up and down with it on my finger. And then I just rub it on my stomach. You can mix it with coconut oil if you want. I just put it straight on there, like 2 drops on my lower abdomen. And within 5 minutes, it literally feels like I don't even have my period anymore.
I didn't know that. I'm glad you told me that because I have clary sage and I didn't know that helps.
Oh, it's the best. And we also have, doTERRA also has a roller called Clary Calm, which my friend Janelle stole from me. But it is obviously has clary sage in it, but it is a blend literally for women. Like it is called the Women's Calming Blend or something. And it is literally to rub all over your abdomen when you have cramps. And the thing is that when you stop your cramps, your back pain seems to go away too, which is like bananas, but it does. So whatever that hormone or those like ovaries or whatever's going on in there, that oil absorbs in and goes into the bloodstream right in that localized area, and just like, poof, gone, cramps are gone. So highly, highly recommend if you guys want to try that, like add it to your next LRP order. Or if you haven't started yet, like you can reach out to one of us, we'll help you get it. Or if you want to try it, we'll send you a sample of that too. We're happy to send out samples.
Lots of
works. And it's fair to want to try it before you buy it. I just, that's really important.
Yeah.
What were the other ones we wanted to talk about? You want to talk about the Terrazyme?
Oh yeah. So when I had cravings, I cannot say enough good things about the Terrazyme. But when I had cravings and I was eating like crap, I was taking the Terrazyme, and I found that I still felt off, but I found that like my bloating and just like feeling gassy and stuff didn't really happen if I took the Terrazyme.
Yeah.
Have you ever taken it just to help with bloating, or do you always take it when you eat foods that will cause that? I
always take it whenever my stomach starts to hurt, because I have really, like, food intolerances for me are like garlic is a really bad one for me. If I ever get something with, especially with fresh garlic in it, if it's been simmered forever, or if it's powder, then it's not so bad. But anytime it's fresh garlic, like it's raw garlic, it's like kills me. And I'll literally have like this horrible gut rot feeling for 3 days when I do that. So if I take a Terrazyme within 5 minutes, I can't even feel that
I know.
Same
I
with, like,
ate charcuterie the other day when we had a girls' night, and I took the Terrazyme before I started eating it. And like, I felt full after, but like not uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, it's just insane how fast that works.
So what we should do, actually, maybe this week we'll do a live video in the group and just show everybody like what Terrazyme actually does. Because if you take 2 bowls side by side of steel cut oats and you just literally continue to mix them, and you dump a capsule or 2 of Terrazyme into one and not the other, and you like stir them the exact same amount side by side, the one that has the Terrazyme in it will actually turn watery, whereas the other one turns like sticky glue. So you can actually watch the Terrazyme, the digestive enzymes, that's what they are. They go in and actually break down that food for you so that you can process it and absorb it easily, so that you're not fighting against it. Because it's the proteins and everything that we react to the majority of the time.
Yeah,
so it, like, goes
I
and
love
breaks
those
down.
things.
So like gluten, for example, the protein is of the gluten is what like keeps things sticky and holds them together, which is why we use it as a binder for bread and everything else that we make with it. And so if you think about a digestive enzyme that can go in and break down that glue, of course your body's going to be able to process it easier because it's not having to fight and break that down for you. So because of our soil and because of nutrient degradation and all these other reasons why we don't have good, healthy digestive enzymes, because we're not getting them off of food. Even when we're eating whole foods, we don't have enough live enzymes in our diets anymore. So that's why our guts are so out of whack. And then you add processed foods, and then you add antibiotics and all these other things, and we're screwed, literally, if we're trying to be healthy. So we have to start supplementing with these things. So probiotics, I don't know if anybody doesn't know about probiotics these days, but you also want to make sure there's prebiotics going in, which is the food that the bacteria can eat. Because if you're not obviously feeding the bacteria, they can't survive again. And it seems like the bad ones are more resilient, and they seem to like survive better. But like, just like whenever you go in and you wipe them all out with antibiotics, we forget that we need to replenish that good bacteria right away. So for me, when I was a kid, like I used to get ear infections all the time when I was young because I'm intolerant to dairy, but we didn't know that. Then as I got older, like the infections will usually travel to different spots in your body every 7 years is what they estimate. So for the first while I had from little chronic ear infections, then it moved to my chest, or my throat. So I would get tonsillitis all the time. And they were like, if you get this one more time this year, we're taking out your tonsils. And my mom was like,
what happened to me.
Yeah. My mom was like, we're not taking out your tonsils. Like they're doing their job. That's what they're supposed to be for. My mom's like a naturopath fan too. Which at the time I And then eventually, like I got mono, I got anything that was like throat gland related, tonsillitis, strep throat all the time going around. And then it shifted to bladder for me. I was chronic bladder infections for years and years and years. And it wasn't until, so the doctors literally gave me macrobid, which I would take one every single time I had sex to prevent a bladder infection, because I would get them every single time. And there was like nothing I could do. I read all the blogs. I did all the things. I bought all the cotton underwear. I bought all the, let's shower first. Let's, like all the crap that you do.
Yeah.
And like, but they would get so bad that they would transfer to my kidneys. So I actually twice had them, because I would be like, maybe I can just see if I can just do it without antibiotics. And then it would travel to my kidneys. And then that's even worse, because you got to go double dose. Anyway, so a lot of girls actually have this chronic bladder infection problem. And often it's because earlier in life, you've had rounds and rounds of antibiotics that were unanswered by probiotics. And so eventually I went to a naturopath, and he put me on yeast killers, things to support my liver. And then Candy backed in, he put me on a bunch of different, and then heavy probiotics. And I've literally, knock on wood, in the last 3 years had one bladder infection. That's
amazing.
So
it's crazy what food can do, and like how we never listen to our bodies and just
But like I was also a C-section baby, and like there's tons of babies born through C-section now. And it's not that it's going to like, you're not like destined to not have good gut bacteria forever, but there's like a certain process that happens, obviously, when you come through the canal, that doesn't happen when you're pulled out by C-section. And that was me. And so who knows if that didn't contribute to me having lower gut bacteria, which also, can translate into food intolerances, which I have like 15 million of those. Like, so you just don't know what's all connected, but it's easy looking back to see that. It's just hard at the time. And so that's why I find it so interesting when I'm like such a nutrition nerd about this kind of stuff, because I'm like, because people will be like, my kid has this, or this is going on with me. And like, what do you think? And I'm like, well, I'd say for starters, cut out gluten and or dairy for 2 weeks and just see how you feel. Because usually you don't realize until you add it back in that it's actually killing you, right? Sorry, I'm like down a rabbit hole. I don't even know where I was going with that, but foods matter.
Yeah, we were just saying what we said: pterozyme, probiotics, clary sage for cramps, and then also I used the tummy tamer roller that we got last month. I found that helped when I was feeling like bloated or gassy, or it just like kind of cooled everything down.
Have you ever been to a massage therapist that uses Japanese peppermint? That seems to be super common with massage therapists. So like our tummy tamer blend actually has Japanese peppermint in it, which is not as strong as the normal peppermint, to the, and it has spearmint in it, which is such a nice minty. So it's just like a different version of, but like Mary was saying this week, she had that gallstone attack and literally just used tummy tamer, totally took the edge off, put copaiba, layered copaiba on top. Like literally she's in the hospital. They're telling her she has to get her gallbladder removed. It's an emergency surgery. She's like, sorry, dude, I got to go back to work. Like, I can't, like, this is not a possibility for me today. And like, so then she called me. She's like, what do I do? All I have with me out at camp are these oils. And I was like, layer that copaiba on top of that tummy tamer and tell me if it makes a difference. And so of course, copaiba is by itself amazing for pain and inflammation and all these things anyways, but it also has this like supercharger power where if you layer it on top of another oil, it supercharges those oils. So it literally makes the tummy tamer oil blend like 10 times stronger than if it was like that. So, and it has its own properties for pain. Like that's the one she fell in love with in the first place for her wrist, because she broke her wrist years ago, has had 3 surgeries on it. They still can't fix it properly. She has chronic pain in her wrist and it aches every single day. She puts 1 drop of copaiba on it and it's gone instantly.
So cool. I know, I love that one.
Oh my gosh. Copaiba is just like all around like great oil to mix with everything. I mix it with Serenity at night. I mix it with like literally you can mix it with
I like the scent of it.
Yeah, I do too. I like more of like the woodsy and earthy stuff as opposed to like the florals. I'm not really a fan of them.
Especially this
okay, so another thing was we were talking about, what else did we want to say? Oh, you talked about probiotics.
Yeah,
so
probiotics.
So for anyone who has any kind of food intolerances and you get like that awful feeling in your stomach, or for me, I start to sneeze right away as well in certain foods. Eggs for me, sneeze within 5-10 minutes of eating something that has eggs in it, even mayonnaise on my sandwich. Crazy. Sucks. I love me like a whip, but anyway. Hellman's has an awesome vegan mayo for all of you guys that have to stay away from eggs, just so you know. It tastes pretty good. So clary sage, what else were we going to talk about? I think that's pretty much it.
I think that's it.
But pterozyme is amazing for anybody that has stomach issues at all, because it literally goes in and that digestive enzyme will break down your food for you. So
yeah, the main thing I wanted to the message I wanted to put out there, and what I learned from my own experience, is just to proactively plan for that. Like track your period and do the right things. Like don't do everything wrong. Like don't make the same mistake that I did. Like looking back on that, I'm like, of course I felt like crap. Even if I didn't have my period, I would have felt like crap. It's like if you're like weaker while you have your period, or there's just like more stuff going on in your body, like be ready for that. You know
what would be fun? For like the next month or 2 to have like a hashtag in our group where every time we know Aunt Flo is coming, we should just like hashtag Aunt Flo's coming to town, and then just say like what we're doing to prep for it, or even when it's there, like Aunt Flo's here, and then just prep. Like I would love if everybody would start to like post some stuff in our group so that we can see what you're doing, because Candace and I don't want to talk to ourselves all the time. Love it if you would start sharing or like comment in a post of somebody else's with Aunt Flo's coming to town or whatever, and just say like what you're doing to prep, or I acted like a crazy person and here's how I counteracted it today because I caught myself, or here's which oils I use and that worked for me. Because the more we're able to share like real life stories of what people use and which oils, there's not just a one size fits all for this stuff.
There's that's true.
Million oils that work differently for each person. So you want to like share that info so that everybody can be like, oh, I've never even thought about using peppermint for that or whatever. Like, so I want to see if we could get a little hashtag going with Aunt Flo.
That'd be so funny. Okay, but I gotta go soon.
Yeah, no worries. Everybody that's watching still, or if you're watching the replay, just drop a hashtag Aunt Flo or some kind of a variation of Aunt Flo that's funny, and then we'll know that you were watching. And then the only other thing I was going to mention is if you are just getting started with oils and you're interested in them, we're going to be doing a class on Thursday online. It's 20 minutes plus some Q&A. So if you would like the link for that, you're welcome to come. We're going to be talking about 3 cool things about oils. 3 ways that you can use them and 3 ways you can get them in your home. So definitely just, you can reach out to one of us directly through DM, or you can just drop in the comment below, yes, I'd love the link, please. And then you can come to our online class on Thursday, and we'd love to see you there. I think that's about it.
And if anyone has any questions, or like questions about things we mentioned today, or want to sample anything, again, just write in the comments and then we'll reach out to you, or you can privately message us. DM.
Perfect.
DM.
DM. Okay, well, happy Saturday, everybody, and you have a good day, Candace, and we will talk soon.
You too.
Okay, buddy.
Bye.